Okay, Tim's got the lure all painted up for us now, and he's got the smooth finish coat of fingernail polish on it. I think he did a wonderful job on it. I think he did a real great job. We've got great scale detail in it, good color blending, and a nice pattern overall. So now that we've got the lure painted and sealed, now we've got to put our hardware on. We've got to put our hooks and our eye screws on. To do this, the way I do it, some of it, a lot of it is just by eyeballing whatever. You may feel the need to measure certain things, but the way I do on mine, on these lip bills, I like to pull them from trying somewhere about the middle of the bill. If you pull too far forward, again, like I said earlier in the video, it won't have much action to it and it won't dive very deep. If you pull too far back, sometimes the action can get pretty wild and it may dive real deep and it may have a tendency to sidetrack. So I found about the best way to go is to pull from about the middle of the bill. To do this, I'm using inch-long eye screws. I buy my eye screws from Jan's Netcraft. They're a great place to do business with, and they have what I want. If you get them in a hardware store, they don't usually have them small enough. But regardless of where you get them, is what I want to do. I want to come in with my eye screw on my bill. I'm going to start about the middle, and I'm going to come down into the lure. I don't want my eye screw to protrude below the bottom or come out the sides or anywhere. I got to go straight with it. I want to stay straight with the grain, and I want to stay straight into the lure and have my eye come out right about the middle. So to do this, we take that needle once again, the one we put the one in the back with. I find middle on my bill. I get set with it about where I like it. Right there is about middle. Now I got my indent there to guide me. Now I got to get my drill on the same plane to drill my hole. So I want to come in like this. I want to stay straight on, like on this way. And I also have to stay straight on like this, so I don't drill out through the bottom of the lure. Now that gets a pilot hole started for us right there. Now first, before I put this in, I want to run the screw down one time to make sure that everything fits right. Getting these started sometimes can be just a little bit tricky. So you have to really work with them a lot. Other times they'll just go right in. I always keep a pair of needle nose pliers around handy for twisting. Screw the hook in, or the eye screw rather. Turn easy as you start getting down because you don't want to split your wood. Once you get it in, board out, take the screw back out. We've got our hole finished. Now, what I want to do first, I want to put my split ring on my hook. Put my split ring on my hook, and then take and close the eye. Whoop. Close the eye nice and tight. When I put eye screws in, the closed part of the bottom down here, I always like to put it on the hook so that so that the line or the hooks won't ever pull against the gap. So whenever I put this in, the first thing, I'll get to that in a second, I take our fingernail polish that we polished it with, and I use that on the threads of my eye screw. It makes a real good lock. It seals the hook up, and it's a strong bond, and the hook won't never pull out on you. Put just a little more of a dab on it. Always pull through so we don't leave a ridge. And now we'll now, as I mentioned before, we've got that gap in the top of the screw. I want to make sure I turn it one final turn down. I want it down on the bottom. Now, I'm going to hold the lure and I'm going to look straight on like this, but as what I'm doing, I've got to make sure that my eye screw is perfectly straight, up and down, perfectly straight with the lure. We want to turn it until it is, because if it's off even just a little bit, it'll make the lure pull to one side or the other. And in the end, that's what we're looking for right there. Now, as we've done that, there'll be some times you'll see, like here, when I turned the screw in, it made a little divot in my top. That's nothing to get really concerned about. I'll take a little dab of black paint, touch in there, and then go over it with the fingernail polish, and you won't even be able to see it when we're done. But that makes a real good, strong bond for our lure to pull from. It'll hold up to the fight. Now our next thing, we've got to put the belly eye screw in. Same process. Earlier in the video, if you remember, I like to put my hooks right at the apex of the belly where it's the widest. We counterbalanced and put our weight high so we'd have plenty of room for the screw right here. So what I want to do, I want to come in the middle, right dead middle of it. There again, you may want to measure this rather than eyeball it. First off, you want to be straight both ways. And now then, we'll put some fingernail polish on the eye screw. We started it in. Run it down. I'll put a little more polish on it. Now, before I run this all the way down, I've got my hook there. Tim put the split rings on my hooks for me earlier, so it's easier. I hooked the split ring over the hook. Well, if I could keep it on there. And now we close the eye. Real well. Now, as I said, most of my hook sets usually come from the rear, and it pulls through the water like this. So what I like to do when I tighten these eye screws down on the belly is I like to turn my gap part facing forward. That way the hook is pulling against the crease in the screw. It doesn't hurt to turn this in just a little bit rather deep. Now here again, the same thing. We want to make sure that we turn this eye screw perfectly level, perfectly straight in line with the lure, like this, so that we don't have any lifting or any side-to-side action on the lure. Now, with that done, we take our back eye screw out. Just enough so that we can put some fingernail polish on it to seat it home. We did. Always watch that front hook when you're turning them like this. It's real easy to flip that right into you. I've done that before. Doesn't have a good outcome. Now with this back screw, we'll put our hook on here, put our split shot on, close the eye. Now with it, I'm going to make the gap in the screw, I'm going to make it go point up. Because most of our hits, strikes, and pulls are going to come from below, from bottom side. And once again, we turn this to make sure that it's perfectly level, straight up and down, and everything is all running true and in order. And once we've got it all together, we'll do a little bit of touch-up, like I said, here on the front bill. A little bit there. It'll get a couple more coats of the fingernail polish, and then she'll be ready to run and catch a big fish. I really hope you've enjoyed this video as much as Tim and I have enjoyed putting it together for you. I hope this will inspire everyone to undertake a project like this. Not necessarily this kind of lure making. There's many different kinds of lures and many different ways to make them. This is just one. I'm sure there's several other methods of making lures like this. It's just what we've seemed to find to be the best and easiest for us. I hope you'll get into this. This is a great project to share with the kids. Good time spent with all. Great family projects, great time. In the winter time when it's cold and can't get out and go fishing, you can make your lures for when you can. So, I thank you again for watching the videos, and I really hope you've enjoyed them. And on behalf of Tim and I, we wish you all the best. Thank you very much.